The French, they occupied Algeria for about 150 years, right? And it ended with a really, really bloody civil war. And of course, in French, it's called la guerre d'indépendance. So they call it the War of Independence. And it's funny because at the time, the French, they would not even say civil war, right? Because it was very embarrassing for them. Because for them, Algeria was not a colony or a mandate like Morocco or Syria. It was part of France. It was a département, you would have a state in the United States, right? So that's how integral the French considered Algeria. And if I'm not mistaken, you had between 1 million and 1.5 million settlers, right? And they all left, most of them. And they called them les pieds noirs, black feet. You had a really bloody war of independence, 1954 to 1962. And the number of Algerians killed, I mean, you know, some people call this a genocide because the numbers are so outrageous and of how vindictive it was, right? So the floor, the minimum that we're talking about is 1.5 million, right? And it really varies. You know, you have some people that say it's 5 million. Some people say it's 3 million. I mean, it doesn't change anything that we're saying, right? Like at the end of the day, these numbers, they're astronomical. They're outrageous. And you have a lot of torture that was carried out at the direction of the French state, right? So this isn't, it's a few people who did a little bit of torture, which, I mean, I don't say how that's okay, but this was really sanctioned and mandated by the French government. I mean, what I'm about to read to you, it sounds so weird and so brutal that you might not think it's real, but it's very real. Look at this headline over here from France 24, and they say Algeria buries repatriated skulls of resistance fighters as it marks independence from France. This is in 2020. So basically, the French, in their 150 years of occupying Algeria, you know, they would capture a resistance leader and his buddies, or capture just, you know, random resistance fighters and execute them, chop their heads off. And in some cases, they would shrink the heads. I don't even know what to say. And keep in mind, they have not finished giving back all the skulls. So they still have other skulls of Algerians that are in Paris that they have yet to give back to Algeria. It's really nuts, and it's so brutal. And it was the paratroop regiment that was really spearheading this. I want to show you also something else. Just as an example, you had 45,000 Algerians killed on May 8th, 1945. So you guys commonly know this date as VE Day, right? So that's Victory Europe Day. That's the defeat of the Nazis, defeat of fascism in Europe during World War II, right? It's the end of World War II for Europe, at least. Not in the Pacific yet, but for Europe. And on that day, again, my brain is struggling to process this because it's so crazy. On that day, you have 45,000 Algerians killed for demanding independence for their country. Okay, these are the official figures from the Algerian government. I mean, even if you took, let's say, a fraction of that, it's still crazy. So, you know, it doesn't change anything. And of course, you have a lot of, as it says here, rape crimes. So it's not just about people being killed, it's also about people being raped, right? You had a lot of women that were raped. And this is really important to remember this right here, which I wanted to show you. General Masseuse 10th Parachute Division. Okay, so like I said, they were really at the tip of the spear when we talk about all these brutal crimes. You can't say that it was just this one division. No, it's 150 years of occupation, and like I said, we're talking about millions killed.